You know the black best friend trope, the one who's there to cheer on the white protagonist, throw out a punchy punchline, but never gets a real story of her own? She's funny, she's bold, she's sassy, and disposable. Her pain never takes up space. Her joy is optional, but her presence makes the white girl look better. And y'all, this isn't just lazy writing, it's the residue of a much older system. Because black women weren't just made into background characters on screen, they were made into tools. Emotional, physical, and reproductive tools, especially by white women. And one of the most dangerous lies we're still told is that white women were simply spectators to slavery. They weren't. They were architects. Stephanie Jones Rogers, in her book, They Were Her Property, proves that white women weren't just beneficiaries to slavery. They bought, sold, and profited, and sometimes a little bit more than men. They inherited enslaved people, used them as dowries, and ran entire plantation economies, especially through reproduction. Because if that enslaved woman had a child, that child was worth more wealth, more labor, more security for the white mistress. And the cruelest contrast, which was mentioned in the work of Thelma Jennings, was that white women saw that they had an ability to control their fertility. And they were jealous that black women had somewhat control over theirs. But black women never truly had control over it. One of the most interesting stories in They Were Her Property tells the story of a little girl in 1847. She was a little white girl, she was 3 years old, and she was taking a walk through the garden with her enslaved caretaker, Fanny. And Lizzie got really annoyed with Fanny, and so she went to her father and told her, "I want you to cut Fanny's ear off." And her father laughed. He didn't do it, but he retold the story with joy to the rest of the family. And I think this story explains how, at only 3 years old, that little white girl knew that black women were disposable, that their bodies were punishable. That little girl was being groomed to be a white mistress of the plantation. White little girls were giving enslaved little girls as gifts for their birthdays, for their baptisms, for weddings, for holidays, for whatever, just because. And they were also encouraged at a young age to learn how to discipline them. Enslaved people who were like 40 years old were punished brutally for not calling a 6-month-old white baby master or mistress. And these little white girls who grew into young adult women knew that if they made pairings for their enslaved women, that meant more babies, more labor, more power, more wealth. Fast forward to today, we have the expectation that the black best friend uplift the white leader.